Have you ever imagined living in a magical world full of wonders? What if you were born with extraordinary powers but were shunned because of your differences? This is the story of a girl born with green skin and magical abilities, but her life is far from easy. Let's dive into her journey. The movie we're talking about today is Weak, released in 2024. Set in a land filled with magic, talking animals, and powerful sorcery, this film stars Cynthia Erivo, Melio, and Ariana Grande. In a mystical land called Oz, the wife of the Munchkinland governor, Mr. Tro, has an affair with a muscular man while her husband is away at work. As a result, she becomes pregnant and gives birth to a baby girl with green skin, whom she names Elphaba. But her unusual skin color isn't the only thing special about her. Elphaba can also move objects with her mind from birth. Years later, the governor's wife becomes pregnant again. Afraid of having another green-skinned child, Mr. Tro forces her to consume large amounts of milk flowers. However, this causes their second daughter, Nessarose, to be born with underdeveloped legs, leaving her unable to walk. Sadly, their mother dies during childbirth. One day, while playing with Nessarose, Elphaba reads a story about a great wizard who resides in the Emerald City. According to legend, this wizard has the power to grant any wish. Desperate to fit in, Elphaba dreams of meeting him and asking to change her skin color. Suddenly, a group of kids appears and starts mocking Elphaba, making Nessarose cry. Furious, Elphaba accidentally unleashes her powers, sending rocks flying at the bullies. Over the years, constant bullying makes Elphaba withdraw from others, growing up as a quiet and reserved girl. A few years later, after Elphaba and Nessarose had grown up, Elphaba took Nessarose to enroll at Shiz University, the most prestigious magic school in Oz. The moment people saw Elphaba's green skin, they were terrified. At the university, there was also a new student named Glinda, a beautiful and friendly girl. Seeing Elphaba's unique appearance, Glinda felt sorry for her and promised that one day, when she became a great witch, she would help change Elphaba's appearance. However, Elphaba just smiled, knowing that promises like that weren't always kept. Mr. Tro, worried about leaving Nessarose alone, asked Elphaba to keep an eye on her until she settled into her dorm. First, Elphaba refused since she wasn't a new student, but in the end, she agreed. All the students gathered in the hall for a welcome speech by the university's dean, Madame Morrible. After the speech, they checked the dorm assignments. While everyone was busy looking for their rooms, Glinda approached Madame Morrible, expressing her desire to become her student. However, Madame Morrible only wanted to teach students with exceptional talent. Meanwhile, a staff member tried to help push Nessarose's wheelchair to her room, but Elphaba refused, remembering the promise she made to her father. When the staff member insisted, Elphaba lost her temper and, without realizing it, used her magic to lift Nessarose and move the furniture around them. Everyone was shocked, while Nessarose felt embarrassed by Elphaba's overprotectiveness. This incident caught Madame Morrible's attention. Impressed by Elphaba's magical abilities, she immediately accepted her as a student and even offered to mentor her personally. She also assigned Glinda to be Elphaba's roommate. First, Elphaba refused, thinking her father wouldn't allow it, but Madame Morrible assured her that she would handle it. She believed Elphaba had great potential to become a powerful witch and meet the great wizard himself. When Elphaba entered her dorm room, she found it already packed with Glinda's things. Glinda explained that she had originally requested a private room. She pointed to a small space for Elphaba, but Elphaba wasn't having it and moved Glinda's belongings aside. Curious about Elphaba's magic, Glinda wanted to learn how to move objects like she did so she could also become Madame Morrible's student. However, Elphaba had no idea how she did it. Frustrated, she shouted, and suddenly the window shattered. It turned out she still couldn't fully control her powers. From that moment on, Elphaba and Glinda constantly clashed, playing pranks on each other. Glinda also grew jealous of how close Elphaba was to Madame Morrible. One day they attended a history class taught by Dr. Dillamond, a goat professor. When he accidentally called Glinda Glinda, the entire class laughed. Glinda protested, but Elphaba defended Dr. Dillamond, saying that not everyone in this world was the same. Dr. Dillamond then explained how, in the past, many intelligent animals like him could talk and teach. However, after a great drought, humans began blaming the animals, leading to widespread discrimination. As he prepared the blackboard, a disturbing message appeared. Animals should be seen, not heard. Furious, Dr. Dillamond dismissed the class, but Elphaba stayed behind to help clean up. Grateful for her kindness, Dr. Dillamond thanked her. The night, Elphaba noticed Dr. Dillamond rushing off somewhere. Curious, she decided to follow him and discovered that he was holding a secret meeting with several other intelligent animals. They were discussing a plan by humans to silence animals that could speak. If any of them resisted, they would be tortured until they lost their ability to talk. Elphaba felt heartbroken and wanted to help. She made up her mind to ask the Great Wizard for help in saving the intelligent animals. However, Dr. Dillamond warned her to keep this information secret and head back immediately. On her way back, Elphaba ran into a young man named Prince Fiero, who had just arrived on campus. The next day, Fiero invited the whole class, including Glinda, to a dance party. Glinda eagerly tried to catch Fiero's attention. Before the party, she found an old black witch's hat given to her by her grandmother. Thinking it looked awful, she gave it to Elphaba as a gift, not realizing that this small gesture was the first time Elphaba had ever felt valued by someone. A long time ago, no one could read the Grim Eyrie, a mysterious magical book. It was a dark time when crime and chaos ruled the land. That was until the Great Wizard of Oz descended from the sky. He was the only one able to read the Grimoire and, with its power, brought joy and order back to Oz. Since then, the people of Oz had worshipped him as their leader. Elphaba and Glinda eventually arrived at the Great Wizard's palace. They were greeted by a blue monkey named Chistery, the leader of the winged monkey army. Chistery led them into a grand chamber, where they suddenly faced a massive, terrifying stone head. The head introduced itself as the Great Wizard of Oz and asked who had come before him. Elphaba stepped forward and introduced herself. Suddenly, the stone head fell silent. Moments later, a man emerged from behind it, the real Wizard of Oz. He welcomed them and excitedly showed off a miniature replica of his grand vision for Oz. The model displayed tiny statues representing different figures, and to Elphaba's surprise, he handed her a small figure that looked just like her. The wizard explained that he had heard about Elphaba's incredible abilities and wanted her help to make Oz even greater. He then asked if there was anything she wished for, offering to make her dreams come true. Elphaba tried to read the flying spell from the Grim Eyrie, but Glinda stopped her, afraid that she might suffer the same pain as Chistery. Suddenly, the broom that had been used to lock the door moved on its own and flew toward Elphaba. The guards started breaking down the door, and Elphaba urged Glinda to escape with her on the flying broom. But instead, Glinda was captured by the guards. She told Elphaba to leave immediately. Elphaba jumped out and smashed through the glass window. She managed to fly on the broom, dodging the flying monkey guards that tried to chase her. She soared high, breaking through the clouds. News quickly spread that Elphaba was now labeled as the Wicked Witch, causing panic everywhere. Her friends at the university were shocked and couldn't believe it. Meanwhile, Governor Traub was devastated upon hearing that his daughter had turned into a so-called Wicked Witch. Elsewhere, Madame Morrible began plotting to use Glinda's power to fight Elphaba in the future. Moral of the story: This story teaches us that true goodness isn't about blindly following rules made by others, but about doing what is right according to your conscience. Don't be too quick to worship someone without knowing the full truth. Hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media. See you in the next content. Rocket sparkles.